Sensible, workable, within reason, viable, feasible. It is an opportunity we can take, an opportunity we can no longer ignore. Sometimes the unconventional way is the answer. Dreams could be fulfilled. Many lives could be aided. Some say no, but to the answer, it could be a tool for the better, not for the worse. Many people are suffering, and we could help them with an arm's reach away. Let's reach it.
If people were to argue, what about alcohol and cigarettes? Well, everything is good, but in moderation.
The legalization of medical marijuana comes with its own set of drawbacks and risks. It has a harmful impact on teenagers because it affects the user's brain, which is not fully matured until approximately the age of 25. Following the legalization of marijuana, the percentage of youths who used it increased to 20% from 16.21 previously. Marijuana is addictive, and legalization will exacerbate dependence on the drug. On the other hand, it can have a lot of beneficial effects on the economy, since it will boost the economy by $24 billion by the end of 2025. And it will phase out black markets and take money away from drug cartels, lowering crime rates and the number of street gangs. In the medical field, marijuana has been shown to be less dangerous than alcohol and tobacco. This is due to the fact that legal marijuana is strictly regulated to ensure customer safety. How? Marijuana is subjected to laboratory testing and regulations when it is authorized to guarantee that cannabis is devoid of contaminants. On May 9, 2022, the Philippines will hold the next national elections. The country's citizens are given the power to vote for who they want to lead the nation for the next 6 years. But given this, there is only one thing this video wants to focus on. Who are we going to vote for? What principles must our leader uphold? Lastly, what is their perspective on the legalization of medical marijuana?
For medical purposes.
And I do not intend to legalize.
The concept of legalizing medical marijuana has been debated over the years. Is it high time for us to reconsider the passing of the bill? Would the positive consequences outweigh the adverse effects it might bring? Utilitarianism would help us understand whether the decision would be morally right or wrong. But first, let us define utilitarianism. Utilitarianism is a type of consequentialism that holds that the consequences or outcomes of actions, laws, policies, and other things decide whether they are good or bad and even right or wrong. Utilitarianism asserts that our action should promote the greatest possible happiness or good for the greatest number. Medical marijuana has its share of disadvantages and benefits. Teens might be affected as they can be easily swayed from the pleasure given by the addiction. In a study entitled "In the Effect of Medical Marijuana Laws on Marijuana, Alcohol, and Hard Drug Use," they found out that legalization increased both marijuana use and marijuana abuse or dependence in people 21 or older. Therefore, if medical marijuana would not be properly administered or regulated, it might cause widespread addiction, especially to the vulnerable youth. This highlights that authorizing the utilization of marijuana offers benefits such as its medical use for treating diseases. Clark's research suggests that 47,500 lives could be saved each year if medical marijuana were legalized nationally. He added that cannabis prohibition could increase mortality rate because marijuana could have treated diseases such as cancer, diabetes mellitus, and traumatic brain injury. As proof, Sharon Kelly, a 54-year-old lung cancer patient who was diagnosed as disease-free because of marijuana suppositories. Another one is Ben Oakley, a 17-year-old stiff person syndrome patient who was able to improve his condition through medical cannabis oil. The perspective of utilitarianism on the legalization of marijuana for personal use and medicinal use is based mostly on the greater good for the people who suffer from a painful ailment. According to the principle of utility, legalization is more useful than drug prohibition. The utilitarian would legalize marijuana because it will produce the greatest good for the greatest amount of people by aiding in the relief of sick people, boosting the economy, decreasing the prison population, and allowing the government to have control over disbursement. It is also justified by the phyletic calculus principle. The potential positive consequences are fairly certain, intense, long-lasting, and widespread. Of course, there are still some hazards involved with marijuana legalization, but the advantages appear to vastly exceed them. We know that living life requires change, and change is inevitable. Some live their lives comfortably, but others do not have the luxury to do so. Is it ethical to deny a dying person in pain of marijuana for their comfort? Is it ethical to deny a person their right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness? These are the questions that we would like to impart to you, and we hope that this video has enlightened us regarding the utilitarian view of medical marijuana legalization. Now, who are we going to vote for as our candidate?
Does the principle of their life shown by answering one of the most controversial topics in our country?
What outweighs their decision? Is it made for the pleasure of many?
Lastly, is it necessary for a leader to think in a utilitarian perspective?
This country needs a better leadership.
Elect knowledgeable candidate that will create a decision that will benefit the most and outweigh all the negatives. Make our country a better place.